Greetings in the precious divine name of the Most High, His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Selassie the First, Jah Rastafari. You're in tune to Ras-Berry Radio 101.1, the best thoughts from Andrew Show. This is the Temple of Enlightenment. I'm your host, Andrew Tafari. Well, I hope you guys had a wonderful, strong beginning because, like I say, we don't say weekend because I know that words have meanings, and words are the beginning of reality, right? So I say strong and beginning, and likewise I don't say the weak, I say the strong. So I hope I can set your strong right, and I hope you have a good strong. And when I say strong, I mean the weak, but I don't say weak, I say strong. And I hope I can help you today to overcome the struggle and the critics, and try to put it into perspective for you. So the critics, what are critics, right? Well, a lot of people, when they're afraid of critics, and they're afraid to do things because of critics. But actually, critics are a good thing, because if if I'm doing music and there are no critics, then that means I'm not effective. You know what I mean? That means then I would be worried. You know, when the critics are the most important thing, because the critics do a number of things for you. The critics help you to improve, right? The critics are there to help you improve, because sometimes critics say things and it can be true, and if you listen. But the thing about it is, you can't just say, because people have all different reasons why they say things to you. If somebody says this is wrong or this is bad or whatever, you don't just jump and say, oh, that's bad, and just throw away all of what you've been doing, because people can be seeing it from a malicious standpoint. So you have to check why they're saying it, and really observe, and look into your own creation and see if, or anything you're doing, if you're a carpenter and you're building a house, and and there's a critic what comes and tell you, oh, um that door doesn't seem to be fitted up right. You have to look at it and say, oh, well, maybe the door isn't fitted up right, let me try again. Or maybe the door is fitted up right, but this person really is jealous because I got a job that they wish they could have. So critics are there to help you improve, and critics are also the fuel. If it, like most athletes, you know they need the critics, because, like, if you look at all of the great athletes, all of the great things that they accomplish, like in the NBA, when it comes down to the championship game, the team that wins is the team that's responding to the critics. They don't have to be responding by talking to the critics. Like, like if somebody criticizes you, you don't have to respond with talking. They respond with action. So the critics are the people who commentate. They might say, "Oh, that person is not leading the team right," and then the leader of the team might just say, "Okay, all right. So wait till game time. When it's game time, then I'll deliver my stuff, and then after that, we'll hear what you have to say." Right? So critics help to push you, and critics also help you to improve, because as I said, they're the people that give you the feedback that you need, and they're the people that say the things that might piss you off, but is a good piss off, because, as I said, that's what pushes you. So critics, so don't look at critics as people who, like, when you have critics, don't look at them and say, oh, because they're saying this, you must give up at what you're doing. You know what I mean? Look at them as in a positive light, and use them as your fuel. Use the critics as your fuel to push you further in whatever it is you're doing, right? And also too, like I was saying, if critics are people who, if I'm doing music and I was just getting all love, like everybody was just showing me love, and you know just all a ton of good, and there was never anybody who was in disagreement, then I would that's when I would be worried, because then to me I would have to say, wait, but I wonder if this is real or this is fake, because there's no, you can't just have all love. That's never real. And then I don't feel like I'd feel like, okay, I'd feel like more that's like pity support. To me, that's pity support. If everybody was just to show me love and just to be in agreement with everything I'm doing, I would say that's pity support. That's just people saying, "Oh, we feel sorry for him. Let's support him." But when I have the people who, like, if I say something no and I go out on the road and they say something negative to me, or they give me a look, or they question something I say, or they're in disagreement, I love that. That's what I love. To me, that's the real support, because then I know I'm really doing something right, and that's why I love the critics. And those people are what we call critics, right? And also, people criticize for different reasons. There are people, like I said, like I was saying earlier, there are people who, I might be singing music and I have this beautiful idea that I'm building every day. I'm broadcasting on the air. I'm doing well in terms of my creativity. I'm having an impact on people. And there might be somebody else who wants to do that, who they might say they have the ability and want to do it, but don't know how to go about doing it. So they just say something negative to try to bring me down because they want to be doing what I'm doing. And then there's other type of critics, right? Because those are the people who become critics. Because once you criticizing, that makes you a critic, right? And then there are the other type of critics who they can't do what I'm doing. They don't have the ability or the talent or the time or anything to do what I'm doing. So therefore they just criticize because they want to be able to stop me from doing it because they want to do what I'm doing. So then they criticize. So that's another type of critic, and these are reasons why we have why this is what makes critics, and this is the reason why you shouldn't let critics dictate what you do. You must do the thing and you must dictate what critics talk about, right? So whatever I'm talking about now, I'm dictating what the critics will talk about, which is what I need as a host or as an artist. I need to be able to dictate what the critics talk about, right? And then there's sometimes you have critics within you, like even in this media business. I have my own talk show here, and then you have people on the news who they want to be doing a talk show. They want to be doing this. They want to be free of being a robot, because we know when you work in news, you're a robot. So they want to get rid of me to be able to get my spot, because my spot is wonderful. But I've created for not for me, for the community. I've created because all I'm doing is just building this and setting the foundation for this, and then hopefully youths can in the future when I become too, because you see, I'm aware of that I'm gonna reach an age where, what I'm saying, you might become too old for a young people's sport. So I'm just setting something so when my kids grow up, when my daughter and my son or whatever in the future, when they grow up, they can have something. You know what I'm saying? So these are the reasons why we have critics. You know what I'm saying? Because critics, that's the reason for critics, and that's how you have to deal with critics, right? Now, the struggle is a similar thing. The critics are part of the struggle, but you see, in this life, I compare the struggle to nature, right? Because you can have a struggle where it's like a drought. Imagine if you were in a desert, right, or in a place where there's a drought happening, right? Sometimes that's what the struggle is like. It's like sometimes money is flowing like water, just like rain, just pouring down on you, and then other times like a drought. Can't find even a dollar, can't find even a cent, and that's a struggle, and that's a drought. But how you have to deal with that now is you have to realize that you have to have patience, because you see, I learned the virtue of patience is very important, right? Because in terms of a drought, when we're going through a struggle, when we relate it to a drought, no matter if I even jump up and if I even do anything, it's not going to change how long the drought will last. So all I have to do is be patient and prepare myself for when the showers of blessings come. Because when the showers when I spend my time in the drought trying to I let it teach me, because a drought teaches me to save. When, as I said, when there's a time when money is really low and it's hard to make it, then that's when I have to learn to save. Just like if I was in a situation where there's a drought, I'd have to learn to save water to be able to get me through the drought. And then there's other struggles now, which is like a storm. Like when a storm hits an island or hits Florida or wherever they have typhoons or storms, and it just destroys everything. Sometime in life you have that too. You might be in a relationship and everything is going good, and then a storm just comes, things just hit the relationship, and all of a sudden the relationship is leveled and flat. But then the thing about it is, during a storm, everybody always gets sad because it levels everything. But then you have to look at it in another light, because life is all about perspective, right? The struggle is how you look at the struggle and how you deal with it. So in terms of that type of struggle, which is a storm, you have to look at it like after a storm, everything regrows fresh. And when you lose something, something else grows. It's just like they say, if you go blind, people who go blind, they're heightened in another sense. So their hearing might be heightened. So I might have lost a girlfriend in a relationship because of a storm struggle. Meaning, like, other guys might have been hitting on her, wanting her, and she being pressured from her parents, she being pressured from the people at her job. That's like a storm. Things just hitting the relationship, hitting it from every angle. But then, and level it out. But then something beautiful springs from that, because out of that might have come this whole inspiration. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's what inspired you to build that new business, or that's what made that new idea pop up in your head and made you become rich, because you might have maybe the person who started selling Mondo burgers, maybe the idea came because of that. That person or she might have been very down, and then they needed something to get the downness out of them, and that idea just popped up in them. That's like the grass regrowing after the storm, right? So that's how I relate the struggle to life. And the struggle is needed. The struggle is very much needed. If there was no struggle in life, we would become relaxed, we would become too at ease, and there would be no point to life. You know what I'm saying? So the struggle is the preparation, because every struggle that I looked through in my life, like when I was 16 and I came to Canada for the first time, and I was living on my own for the first time, which that's very young to live on your own, and I was terribly lonely, and I used to feel like, okay, the whole world hates me, and why do I have to go through all of this? But no, when I'm at this age now, being alone doesn't bother me anymore. You know what I'm saying? I'm that struggle, what I went through, because that was a struggle. You know what I'm saying? That's like when an ice storm hits, and everything is frozen and it's cold. That's what that was like. You know what I'm saying? But that made me know how to deal with an ice storm. So now, in this time of my life, when I'm not in a relationship or anything, right? But I realize that there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? And I can deal with it now. So the struggle is what prepares us for the future. The struggle is what makes us stronger. It's like lifting weights. It builds your muscles and it lifts you long, and it makes you stronger. You know what I'm saying? So during today, if you encounter struggle, don't let it get you down. You know what I'm saying? Don't let it destroy you. Don't let it make you quit. You know what I'm saying? Because the struggle is also a test. Sometimes in life you have a desire to do something, and because God is a Roman term, and I am a Rastaman, and we deal with Ethiopia and these things. But that doesn't mean that doesn't make me hate other people of other backgrounds or ethnicities. But anyways, the struggle is like a test. So will say, okay, you want to be a doctor, or you want to be an athlete, you want to be a runner. Well, okay, it's one thing to get up and talk and say, okay, you want to be an athlete, you want to be a runner and all these things. But will say, let me see how much you really want to be that. And so you'll go to training, and maybe the coach, inspire the coach to put somebody way faster than you, who can, just destroy you on the track and literally put you up against that person and make that person literally destroy you. But why? is because after that race, Jah wants to see how much you really mean that you want to be a runner. Because are you going to let because you lose one race, are you going to let that stop you from pursuing your dreams? Because if you do, then you didn't really want to be a runner, and then Jah will not let you reach to where you need to reach. So that's another way of hope. That's a struggle right there. So if you really want to be that runner, you wouldn't quit. You would say, okay, you know what, I can beat that person, or I can be better than I am. No, how am I going to overcome that? Zine, I'm going to train. I'm going to go to the coach and I'm going to say, coach, what could I have done better there to improve myself? How can I become, am I fit enough? Am I strong enough? Is my form correct? And then you go and work on those things. And then when you work on it, no, you come back again, and Jah might put you up against the same person, and you might lose again. You might lose even 3 times. But the fourth time that you do it, if you stick to it and you show Jah that you really want it, you'll win the fourth time after 3 losses, right? Because then now you've proven to Jah that you really want that. So that struggle was there as a test for you to prove how much you really want to be an athlete, right? So that's the way how, like I said, my show is all about, I'm just departing knowledge. I'm sharing knowledge. Because I realize that in this world, people are hungry for knowledge. You know what I'm saying? They're hungry. People are hungry in many ways. People are hungry for knowledge. People are hungry for sex. People are hungry for food. People are hungry for love. So I'm feeding the people. Some people feed the people with food. Some people feed the people financially. Some people feed the people with sex. I feed the people spiritually and with knowledge. So when I come now and tell you about the struggle and the critics, I'm just helping you. You know, it's all about you. I'm helping you to overcome the struggle and the critics. And so today I just want you to keep strong. You know what I'm saying? Keep strong, and as I say, don't surrender to the pressure, because the pressure is a part of the struggle, and the critics are a part of the struggle, and the critics are needed. This is why in all sports and in entertainment, this is why they have critics, because everything is not perfect and everybody doesn't have to agree with what I'm saying or with what I sing in a song, and everybody doesn't have to like. But what lets me know that there's something about it that's affecting you is because you always have something to say about it. Like I guarantee that I'll talk here now, and people will hear me out there because I'm live right now, and I guarantee somebody will say something to me today negative, but that doesn't affect me because that's a critic, and why that doesn't affect me is because that lets me know that they're listening. That lets me know that something I'm saying is impacting them. Because like I said, people criticize for many reasons. I might have just said one single truth, and we know that the truth hits hard. I might have said one single truth that reminds that person of something in their conscience, and therefore it's not me, the person they hate, it's the fact that I'm saying something that they don't want to hear. But the people need to confront these things. So the critic is just as important, right? Because without the critics, without me having those critics, right, then I would feel like I'm not saying the things that are necessary to set something off in people. Because it's like I created my Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/earthmusicplanet. I created that Facebook page as a way to defend myself, because I felt like before, people all, for some reason, I don't know, I'm not saying that makes me better than anybody or anything, but I've always had critics, even if I wasn't on the air, even when I was working in the warehouse or working wherever or in college, I've always had opposition. That's the thing in life, you're always going to have opposition. No matter what you do, you're always going to have critics, you're always going to have the struggle, and you're always going to have opposition, right? No matter what you do. So I've always had that. But this Earth Music Planet and my radio station and my talk show, which was always my dream, which I created, right? Because you must follow up on your vision. It became a way for me to defend myself. So anytime people criticize me, instead of me, because the critics they'll also try critics will also try to drive you crazy. Instead of letting it drive me crazy, I just come and respond to it, or say something else on the air and see what the critics have to say. Because now critics don't bother me, and in those times critics used to bother me, but now they don't bother me. When I came to that realization, or when I had that epiphany, I realized those things about critics and how I enjoy them so much. You know what I mean? Because they give me so much inspiration and so much ideas and so much drive and so much fuel to continue. You know what I'm saying? So I really love the critics at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So I just want you, I want you I want to help to bring you to that realization, because maybe you haven't realized that. And I want to bring you to that point where you can deal with the critics and deal with the struggle better than you're dealing with it now. Right? Because we know that the struggle and the critics is what drives people to do a lot of crazy things. Sometimes when we hear about all these stabbings on the street and people shooting people and people hurting people, is a struggle, because nobody in school is not teaching these kids how to deal with the struggle, so they don't know how to cope with it. So the struggle is like a pressure drop. So it's like they drop the weight of the world on a youth who just left high school, and he goes out he goes to college, and there's people pecking at him and criticizing him, and he doesn't realize a simple thing like what I just said. Critics are there for a reason, and they use them as fuel, and don't see them in a negative light, and realize the reasons why they criticize you. They might be jealous of you, or they might want to be what you are or have what you have, because they don't realize these simple things. Instead of they deal with it in a positive way, like taking up their pen and paper and writing, or if you're a business person, go and make $1 million, because the sweetest revenge is success. No, but instead they take up a gun because they don't know how to respond to the pressure of the struggle. So I'm here to help you and to remind you that, don't let the struggle get the better of you. You get the better of the struggle and the critics, right? And that's what I want to depart with you today. So today's Monday. Today's the beginning of the strong, because you're strong and we're in the strong, right? Today is the beginning of the strong, and I want you to be strong, and I want you to think about what I said today and apply it to your life, and overcome your struggle. And I know you can. 100% gain always will get you to where you need to reach. So Ras-Berry Radio 101.1, the best thoughts from Andrew, the Temple of Enlightenment show. I'm Andrew Tafari, your host in the morning. Every morning I'm here to inspire you and to wake up your brain and to wake up your inspiration and to provide and add to your meditation. So as I always say, walk safe, walk with love. And today I feel the love. Today one of my fans, one of my friends, somebody who I care about and love, sent me the most beautiful words. And say something beautiful to somebody today, because words are beautiful, and let's help each other. So Rastafari, Ras-Berry Radio 101.1, the best.